The organized siege on the Capitol epitomized and symbolized the division and hatred throughout the last decade of American politics. Not since 1814, over 200 years ago, had the Capitol been overrun by an angry mob. Then it was the British. Now, the threat was closer to home. The insurrection on the 6th of January 2021, orchestrated by right-wing extremists, exposed dire flaws in the security of one of the most heavily protected buildings and symbols of democracy throughout the world, highlighting the danger conspiracies pose when amplified into the mainstream. Surrounding the building, thugs from around the country held a proverbial grip around the neck of American democracy, suffocating the will of the American people. Come with us as we recount the coordination, criminality, and chaos of the Capitol riot, minute by minute. November 5th. With no concessions in sight, or evidence for that matter, Trump takes to the microphone at a press conference to declare the election fraudulent.
Thank you.
A catalyst for chaos to come.
Good evening. I'd like to provide the American people with an update on our efforts to protect the integrity of our very important 2020 election. If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
For many, the unsubstantiated claims had sown the seed for the most sustained attack on the Capitol for over 200 years. November 7th, 2020. The country has spoken. After months of campaigning for leader of the free world, Joe Biden is named president-elect. The end to Donald Trump's presidency was in sight. January 2nd, 2021.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Brad and Ryan and everybody. We appreciate the time and the call.
In an attempt to garner more votes, recorded conversations between Republican Secretary of State for Georgia, Raffensperger, and Donald Trump expose his persuasive attempts to alter the course of the count.
So we've spent a lot of time on this, and if we could just go over some of the numbers, I think it's pretty clear that we won. You have drop boxes where the box was picked up and not delivered for 3 days. So all sorts of things could have happened to that box, including, putting in the votes that you wanted. And I know you would like to get to the bottom of it, although I saw you on television today and you said that you found nothing wrong. We have many, many times the number of votes necessary to win the state. Much of this is they're certified. Far more is certified than we need.
I don't believe that you're really questioning the Dominion machines, because we did a hand retally, a 100% retally of all the ballots, and compared that to what the machine said, and it came up with virtually the same result. Then we did the recount, and we got virtually the same result. So I guess we could probably take that off the table.
We have all the votes we need. We won the state. These are the most minimal numbers.
Again, if you have additional records, we've been asking for that. But you haven't shared any of that with us. You just keep saying you've investigated.
Lita, a lot of it you don't need to be shared. I won this election by hundreds of thousands of votes. There's no way I lost Georgia. There's no way. This is a faulty election result. And honestly, this should go very fast. You should meet tomorrow, because you have a big election coming up, and because of what you've done to the president, the people of Georgia know that this was a scam. They hate the state. They hate the governor, I will tell you that right now. And the only people that like you are people that will never vote for you. You know that, Brad, right? They like you, you know. They want more people like you. So look, can you get together tomorrow? And Brad, we just want the truth. It's simple. And the real truth is I won by 400,000 votes, at least. That's the real truth. But we don't need 400,000 votes. We need less than 2,000 votes.
How are you? Good. Do you think the president broke the law in that phone call, sir?
Well, get with our comms department, we'll set up an interview.
But do you think he did, sir?
In the week running up to January 6th, Trump loyalists, aides, and legal counsel established a war room within the walls of the Willard Hotel, only a block from the White House. Plans to overthrow the will of the people were in motion. January 5th. Trump allies Roger Stone and Alex Jones rile up the crowd on the eve of Trump's speech at the Save America rally.
Thank you. Thank you. I have 2 words to say. Thank you, Jesus. Because I am living proof that God can do anything. And when I was targeted for a legal lynching just up the road in a Soviet-style show trial, and when a wicked judge wanted to send me to a COVID-19 infested prison because they did not want my appeal to reach the courts because it would expose their corruption. Thank God for giving the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln the wisdom, the courage, the strength to correct this injustice. We have only begun to resist the globalists. We have only begun our fight against their tyranny. They have tried to steal this election in front of everyone. And as I told them 20 years ago, I tell them again, I don't know how this is going to end, but if they want to fight, they better believe they've got one.
Proud of you, boy. So tomorrow is going to be an amazing and spectacular day. When everyday American citizens get together and fight tyranny. Tomorrow, regardless of a fight, should be a very happy day for us. I want everybody to watch over it.
Protected by Oath Keeper and Proud Boy members, radical far-right anti-government militias. Both loyalists returned to the Willard Hotel, pushing on with their schemes to tighten Trump's grip on power. January 6th, 10 a.m. Crowds begin forming at Trump's rally, planned on the same day Congress meets to certify the election results. Meanwhile, members of the far-right group, the Proud Boys, seen here, congregate and begin their approach to the Capitol. In the 2 hours leading up to Trump's appearance, a swelling group of his supporters appear near the Capitol grounds.
We have the power in numbers. We protect our republic.
Pretty good, honey.
He has more fight in them than every other one combined, and they need to stand up, and we need to march on the Capitol today.
Today I looked and I saw thousands of people here, but you don't see hundreds of thousands of people behind you because they don't want to show that. We have hundreds of thousands of people here, and I just want them to be recognized by the fake news media. Turn your cameras, please, and show what's really happening out here, because these people are not going to take it any longer. They're not going to take it any longer. Go ahead, turn your cameras, please, would you show? They came from all over the world, actually, but they came from all over our country.
12 p.m. Trump addresses the crowds near the White House, inciting a march on the United States Capitol.
And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. Almost 75 million people voted for our campaign, the most of any incumbent president by far in the history of our country. 12 million more people than 4 years ago. And I was told by the real pollsters, we do have real pollsters, they know that we were going to do well and we were going to win. What I was told, if I went from 63 million, which we had 4 years ago, to 66 million, there was no chance of losing. Well, we didn't go to 66, we went to 75 million, and they say we lost, we didn't lose. And by the way, does anybody believe that Joe had 80 million votes? Does anybody believe that? All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about.
Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump! Fight for Trump!
12:53 p.m.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Even when you look at last night, they're all running around like chickens with their heads cut off with boxes, and nobody knows what the hell is going on.
As Trump's speech continues, supporters bear down on a Capitol Police barricade along the western border of the Capitol grounds. 12:54 p.m. Boiling over, the agitated crowd overpower the unequipped police. 12:55 p.m. More supporters join the breach of the outer perimeter, aiming to breach the Capitol chambers.
Continue forward! Do not stop! Continue! Do not let a tyrannical police force in! They only want to silence us!
1 p.m. Inside the Capitol chambers, Congress begins a joint session to certify the results.
Madam Speaker, the Vice President and the United States Senate.
By 1:03 p.m., Chief of Capitol Police Stephen Sund makes several calls to the Metropolitan Police Department. Reinforcements are called 17 times in 78 minutes.
To be clear, available intelligence pointed to a large presence of some of the same groups that had contributed to violence in the city after demonstrations in November and December. The mob's sustained assault on the Capitol precipitated an equally unprecedented response, with then Capitol Police Chief Steve Sund issuing an urgent request for MPD to come assist in defending the Capitol. Needless to say, when we received the call for help, MPD responded immediately. Within minutes, our members arrived at a chaotic scene. In preparation for the anticipated demonstrations and the possibility of violence on city streets, MPD was fully deployed on 12-hour shifts the week of January 4th, with days off and leave canceled. At Mayor Bowser's request, several area police departments were on standby in D.C., and more than 300 members of the National Guard were deployed on district streets, providing traffic control and other services. However, these resources were barely enough to counter an event that had never happened in the history of the United States: a mob of thousands of American citizens launching a violent assault on the U.S. Capitol, the seat of our government, in an attempt to halt the counting of the electoral ballots, an essential step in the peaceful transfer of power in our nation.
(1:12 p.m.) No more than 18 minutes since the initial breach, the rioters gain access to the lower level of the inaugural platform, heavily outnumbering the officers protecting the Capitol.
USA! 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 USA!
Roughly 9,500 people end up forming part of the mob on the west side of the building, outnumbering officers 58-1. Meanwhile, near the White House, Trump finishes his speech at the rally.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. We're going to see whether or not we have great and courageous leaders, or whether or not we have leaders that should be ashamed of themselves. The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They're ruthless, and it's time that somebody did something about it. And Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down, anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them.
Despite promising he'd walk with the protesters, he returns to his residence to watch the chaos he'd orchestrated, live on television. 1:13 p.m. Recorded communications made that day paint a vivid picture of the chaotic atmosphere descending on the building. Commander Glover of the Washington Met Police Force, specializing in confrontations and crowd control, communicates with the Joint Operation Command.
Volunteer at Capitol. Volunteer at the Capitol. Give me a DSO team. DSO team to respond to the west front of Capitol.
1:15 p.m. In the ensuing chaos, officers deploy a greater amount of force to push back against the growing number of rioters.
First thing on the floor, no effect. Took barrel debris and return.
1:18 p.m.
Capital entry.
Glover's transmissions show at least 9 requests for backup and munitions were made. Reinforcements struggled to reach the swamped police personnel.
1318.
It's 12 to 6, and we're coming around from the south side.
Be advised the speed and vision.
Intel 1, be advised, you got a group of about 50 charging up the hill on the west front, just north of the stairs. They're approaching the wall now.
They're trying to dismantle the reviewing stands and throwing metal poles at us. 50, give me DSO up here now! DSO! Full law enforcement entries! DSO, get up here! Alright, we're 30 seconds out. We need some reinforcements up here now. They're starting to pull the gates down. They're throwing metal poles at us. 50, DSO, get up here! Okay, we're here. 12 to 50, we're here. There's explosion going on up here. I know there's fireworks or what, but they're starting to explode explosives. Fireworks material.
1:34 p.m. As the use of crowd control munitions in the form of pepper spray and tasers ramped up, so did the violence against the defenders of the Capitol.
We're still taking metal, sharpened objects, missiles, to include bottles and rocks, and hand-thrown chemical-grade fireworks.
Reaching boiling point, protesters continue to encroach on the Capitol entrances. (1:37 p.m.) Glover calls in again, requesting even more backup.
I need those 2 other whole platoons up here now!
Sir, we have one coming. We have one coming that's working. Copy.
Cruiser 50, I copy. I need them up here.
1 mile away, Platoon Unit 42 suits up in riot gear. 1:39 p.m. In the next 10 minutes, as Platoon 42 makes its way towards the Capitol, authorization for more powerful measures of crowd control are ordered.
Number 50, 40 millimeter exact impact deployed. 50, 40 millimeter authorized. 40 millimeter exact impact authorized.
(1:49 p.m.) 45 minutes since the initial infiltration of the Capitol grounds, Glover broadcasts over police communications, declaring the incident to be a riot.
We're going to give riot warnings and move the outriders here. We're going to give riot warnings. We're going to try to get compliance if this is now effectively a riot.
49 hours declaring it a riot.
Meanwhile, outside of the Capitol grounds, rioters not involved in the onslaught of the Capitol block the police's emergency response.
USA! 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 USA!
(1:57 p.m.) Pushing past the police, rioters gain entry to the temporary scaffolding area used for the inauguration of the new incoming president. On the Western Front, rioters outnumber police 28-1.
Well, it's that God that's going to deliver America. It's that God that's going to save America. It's that God that's going to heal America. Hallelujah. All you veterans.
We're about 5 miles out. We're trying to make our way through all this.
Cruiser 5 to 50, be advised, Capitol Police 1 advised they're trying to breach and get into the Capitol. Copy.
Take it anymore. This is our country. This is our country.
CCP! Stand down. This is not Antifa. This ain't violent people. These are Americans. Look at the flag. Turn that flag up. Turn that flag back up, sir. Turn that flag up. We are not. Oh my God, we are not in distress. No, sir. Look at this.
2 p.m. 20 minutes after the initial call for backup. Platoon Unit 42 remains stuck in the lower level of the inaugural platform. The remaining officers fall back to the doors, the last line of defense.
You need to pull back our resources. If you need to go inside or pull back, if they're getting behind you, you don't have enough resources.
If I give this up, we're going to have direct access. At least this Capitol we can defend. We got to hold what we have. We can't breathe. We can't breathe. We can't breathe. Get more people in.
2:08 p.m. Rioters force their way around and through the scaffolding, up to the doors of the building. USA! 2:09 p.m. On the east side of the building, the crowd of protesters swells to at least 2,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention for a minute,
No, none of that bullshit.
I hear you.
2:12 p.m. Using riot shields looted from the police response, rioters on the western facade smash through panes of glass, looking to gain entry. Mike Pence is escorted out of the chamber by Secret Service personnel and leaves Charles Grassley to preside over the ongoing debate. In a further demonstration of police failure, over the next 20 minutes, Glover demands a rendezvous point for his men to fall back to. He receives no response. 2:13 p.m.
We have a breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol to the upper level!
They're requesting additional resources on the east side as they've broken into that window and they're trying to kick it in.
Make a difference. I got all night.
House will be in order. We need order in the House so we can proceed. The gentleman from Arizona has 2 3/4 minutes remaining.
Capitol rioters breached the east face of the building, forcing entry into the halls of the Capitol. As the halls flood with obstructionists for fear of fatalities, Grassley orders the Senate into an immediate recess.
We need to do something. My challenge today is not about the good people of Arizona.
And it will stand in recess until the call of the chair.
We'll pause.
Protesters are in the building.
Thank you.
There wasn't anything you said.
Officer Goodman, seen here in this clip, has a standoff against a faction of the violent rioters, 1 floor below the Senate chamber. Goodman leads rioters past where Pence is forced to hide, along with his family, no more than 40 feet away from the door. The threat on Pence's life is palpable. Chants of "Hang Mike Pence" throughout the halls of Congress, and a pre-organized construction of a gallows on the Capitol lawn details the danger he faces.
Oh! They entered the building. Hold. Hard that door up. If we're moving, we need to move now. Copy. If we lose any more time, we may lose the ability to leave. So if we're going to leave, we need to do it now.
They've gained access to the second floor, and I've got public about 5 feet from me down here below.
Okay, copy. They are on the second floor, moving in now. We may want to consider getting out and leaving now. Copy.
Will we encounter the people once we make our way?
Repeat.
Encounter any individuals if we made our way to the.
There's 6 officers between us and the people that are 5 to 10 feet away from me.
Stand by. I'm going down to evaluate
Go ahead.
We have a clear shot if we move quickly. We got smoke downstairs set by unknown smoke set downstairs by the protesters.
Is that route compromised?
We have this.
In response, the Secret Service guide Pence and his family to the basement, inside a bare concrete loading dock within the confines of the underground parking garage.
Clear, we're coming out now, all right? Make a way.
2:15 p.m. The doors to the Senate chamber are bolt shut. 2:16 p.m. With the atmosphere inside the building becoming more agitated with every passing minute, news of the breach makes its way into the House chamber, where lawmakers are still in session. Paul Gosar has the floor, as order in the chamber is called.
400,000 mail-in ballots were altered, switched from President Trump to Vice President Biden, or completely erased from President Trump's totals.
The House enters an immediate recess.
Without objection, the chair declares the House in recess pursuant to Clause 12B of Rule 1.
Roughly 4 minutes after the first boots entered the halls, police chatter confirms the Capitol building, the center of American democracy, has been breached.
The Capitol has been breached.
Capitol Police issue a message advising everyone to hide and remain silent. At 2:24 p.m., the mob to the east of the Capitol pushed through a police barricade and funneled through a main doorway. In the next few minutes, numbers inside the crypt, the area below the rotunda, swells. 2:26 p.m. To some lawmakers' surprise, representatives within the House resume session.
The gentleman's time has expired. Without objection, the House is going to go back into recess.
We can't hold this. We're going to get too many people. Look at this fucking bandit.
2:28 p.m.
We need an area for the House members. They're all walking over now through the tunnels.
In fear of their lives, staff members hide under a table in the conference room.
We're trying to hold the upper deck. We're trying to hold the upper deck now. We need to hold the doors of the Capitol. I need court support. We lost the line. All MPDs pull back. All MPDs pull back up to the upper deck. All MPDs pull back to the upper deck. ASAP.
So we get an update. So I need everybody's attention.
get down under your chairs if necessary. So we have folks entering the rotunda and coming down this way. So we'll update you as soon as we can, but just be prepared. Stay calm.
(2:29 p.m.) Elsewhere, a group of rioters congregate around the entrance to the House chamber, forcing a further recess to proceedings. (2:30 p.m.) The Senate evacuates. Separated by a few law enforcement officials, senators pass by within yards of the angry mob, fleeing through a nearby staircase. (2:33 p.m.) Over the airwaves, police order all military personnel and sworn officers to descend on the breached Capitol.
Yo, please be advised, U.S. Capitol, just ask all military and sworn officers to come to the...
Team 2, copy.
83.
And the last part was the first part of the transmission.
Military as well as all sworn protesters due to a breach to the Capitol. You copy?
Copy.
In the ensuing chaos, members of the legislature are advised to equip the gas masks under their seats and evacuate. Police barricade the door against the advancing mob, pointing their live firearms.
We gotta take him in waves. Get in there and get sprayed. Come back. Second wave. Give us that mask.
Each 208 with 4 members. The door's barricaded. There's people flooded the hallways outside. We have no way out.
2:41 p.m. During the evacuation of the House chamber, rioters almost bump into the fleeing representatives who are escorted through rarely used narrow staircases to a secure location. 2:44 p.m. Unable to escape, members in the upstairs gallery conceal themselves under their seats. 2:49 p.m. After a 5-minute standoff, those stuck in the upper gallery of the House chamber evacuate.
Advise officers still remaining on the House floor, on the third floor, to use the subways themselves. It's time to evacuate so we can secure the members on the other side. Copy.
U.S. Capitol Police escort the final group of lawmakers to safety. Silence from the White House persists. In the eyes of many, Trump's lack of action contributed to the violence. 4:05 p.m. President-elect Biden addresses national TV in an attempt to sedate the insurrection.
Sorry, not just an inconvenience, but I'm sorry for the reason I'm delayed coming out to speak to you. I initially was going to talk about the economy, but all of you have been watching what I've been watching. At this hour, our democracy is under an unprecedented assault, unlike anything we've seen in modern times.
2 minutes earlier, Trump enters the Rose Garden at the White House.
You tell me when?
When you're ready, sir.
To prepare his own delivery to the nation.
Who's behind me?
He's gone around. We're all clear now.
Keep walking.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had a election. Let me see.
You need to take that shit off.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt.
We are the angels.
We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace.
4:17 p.m. 15 minutes since the first take, Trump tweets the video, continuing his false narrative that the election was stolen. 5:40 p.m. Official statements declare the Capitol is secure. (6 p.m.) To quell any possible further unrest, Washington, D.C. enforces a curfew. (8:06 p.m.)
The Senate will come to order. Today was a dark day in the history of the United States Capitol. But thanks to the swift efforts of U.S. Capitol Police, federal, state, and local law enforcement, the violence was quelled. The Capitol is secured, and the people's work continues.
January 7th, 4 a.m. At the end of a long day and night, as the vandalism lay strewn across the symbol of American democracy, Congress officially declares Joe Biden as the 2020 election victor, ending the current presidency.
The report we make is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be the president and the vice president according to the ballots that have been given to us.
The harrowing encounter experienced by brave law enforcement officials, suffered at the hands of violent right-wing extremists, led 4 officers to commit suicide in the days and months following the attempted coup. January 6, 2021. The desecration of the Capitol marks a sad day in American political history. The events that day left a scar on American democracy. Not since the days of the Civil War had democracy been threatened. For the first time in United States history, a peaceful transition of power did not take place.